Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday.
Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. It is bright and early at the Walnut HQ today. I'm actually sitting in my lounge in my big hoodie, just having cozy morning coffee chats with you today. How are you on this lovely Walnut Wednesday? I'd love to know, so please do get in touch, as I always say. This week, Walnut, I wanted to share a little story time of when I was driving to work and I had a bit of a nasty memory pop up in my brain. I don't know about you, Walnut, but sometimes when I'm driving and I'm listening to a podcast or something like that, I get a lot of my philosophical life thinking done. And anyway, so I'm driving to work and I had a bit of a shameful, embarrassing memory pop up that I wanted to share with you. And I actually have some notes with me today, so bear with me if you're watching the visual of this episode and you notice me looking down, is because as soon as I parked the car, I sat down and just started writing notes for this episode. So I just want to let you know that this is something that I'm really embarrassed about. I'm really hurt by. Well, let's just go off the notes and we can talk about it afterwards. But basically, I was reminded of a moment that still really haunts me to this day. Right. And as I mentioned, I was driving to work. It was in high school where I pushed this girl and I was yelling some tough macho man stuff at her. Laugh or you'll cry. Embarrassing, awkward, uncomfortable little giggle. It's not in my nature to be this tough fighter girl. So naturally my heart was racing. I was hot with nerves and fear, and I feel nothing but shame and guilt every time this memory comes back. And it doesn't come back often, Walnut, because I was trying to be someone other than myself. I was, you know what high school's like, right? But sometimes these memories and these moments, they really stick with us and they turn out to be sort of key points to healing or, noticing something about yourself. And yeah, so I think that maybe remembering this at this time, right after I've kind of come out of a little bit of a Weltschmerz and a bit of a funk, there was a reason that this kind of came up. When I reflect and think about why I did this, the only plausible explanation is loyalty. And let me explain this to you a little bit further. We've talked a little bit about misguided loyalty in earlier episodes and clinging on to things. When I go off my notes, then I write and I realize that I've read what I'm about to. I'm just going to continue off my notes. Bloody hell. Right. We've discussed misguided loyalty a few times by way of sticking to things past their expiry, like my original, long time ago now. Wow. That gym experience that I shared with you, my former role, things like that. But this loyalty is tied up in a people pleasing that's kind of gone a little bit too far. My friend didn't like this person, and she said that this girl had done something. I don't remember what it was anymore. Not something mean or nasty. I really don't know what it was. So with my skewed view on what it means to be a, air quotes, good friend, which was I'd do anything for them. I'd bend over backwards. I'd never make time for myself, and in my late 20s grow resentful and bitter at myself for being a doormat all my life. Pushing this girl and yelling these macho lady things meant I was loyal, and it meant I'd be rewarded with the comfort knowing my friend would know that I'd show up when she needed me, subsequently without regard for my morals or myself. But what's a young teenager to know at this time? I get upset when I see this person now because in later years, we all got on and finished school together, later on. But I think memories she will always have of me will be of this awful, like, air quote again, tough girl who pushed her and asked her for her lunch and yelled at her from across the path. How intimidating, and it's making me feel funny in my body. How intimidating and scary and awful it must feel. I actually know how that feels. I don't know why I did that to somebody else. I don't want to get onto the topic of bullying because I have been on both ends of the stick. I've been pushed over and over on a school day at the pools, wondering why the hell these older girls are pushing me and calling me names. Underwater, I was being pushed over in the pool, only to find years later I did the same thing to someone else, minus the swimming pools, because I thought it made me a good friend. Did those girls who pushed me want to be doing that? Did they really think it was funny? I remember them like really laughing and calling me names, pushing me over, laughing. Because I didn't think it was funny both times. In both situations, rather. I felt mortified inside, but I had to pretend for the safety of my friend to make sure she knew that she could be safe with me, that I would be loyal and reliable and all the things. I have a deep healing I need to do for me to feel safe in my own body with this, because I'm so ashamed of it. Even years later, we're both 30, carrying on with life. I see her in real life and we smile and we say hello. And I can see a look in her eye that makes me feel sick. Maybe she remembers, or maybe it's just my guilt attaching a belief to the way that I think she looks at me. The reason I want to share this with you, Walnut, is not only to walnut and speak out this shame outside of my body, but also as a reminder and a permission to you that saying no does not make you selfish. I will say this again. Saying no does not make you selfish. Saying no does not make you disloyal, a bitch. I call myself a recovering people pleaser because even some 10 years on, I still eat myself alive at something I did when I was 13 years old, let alone the times that I wanted to say no but didn't for years to come. Saying no, making boundaries, and sticking to morals, even listening to that voice inside, they set the standard for how you allow people to treat you, right? Boundaries set the standard for how you allow people to treat you. Even still, at the ripe age of 30, I find myself in moments where I feel like a doormat, where I still need to practice more boundaries. It is such a long journey to heal, and I'll go so far as to say to forgive yourself. It is hard at first. You will need to have courage, be brave in a single moment, and then you need to celebrate yourself when you've walnutted. Get the treat, wiggle your butt, do something that anchors in that moment, because congratulations, you've started your journey. And with that paves the way to actually liking who you are, feeling less lonely, and genuinely being yourself. Genuinely enjoying being yourself. There is no shame in the space, I know. But it really does take being a walnut over and over and letting these bodily feelings of discomfort rise and bubble up to the surface and really look them in the eye. I'd love to know, Walnut, if this has raised anything for you that you'd like to share. I welcome my ears. My inbox is always open in my group, the Walnut Tree on Facebook. I love seeing the bravery in there when you feel like posting or contributing to the celebrations or putting a comment somewhere. I know how hard that is. Maybe this episode of my little pushy over macho man stint has changed your opinion of me as well, and I accept that. I do. But my walnutting this week is sharing and acknowledging this memory and all the baggage it brings with it. And I hope in some ways you can pull a learning or a walnutting from this episode. Yeah, that's kind of all I really have to say this week, Walnut. I hope you have a good week. I am going to go and process the feeling that actually speaking this has brought up in my body. I feel like when you get bad news and they call, you know how they say like your stomach just sinks, but for me it's like going the other way around. It's not like I feel like I want to throw up, but it's like an energetic one. It just feels really like heavy in my belly, and it's kind of like wobbling up like in an energetic indigestion kind of way up to my throat, and it's making me feel a lot of bodily discomfort. But I'm glad I spoke this with you because I know I am safe here with you. I know I am safe with Walnut Wednesday and with you, Walnut, listening, because I know that you know me, and this is all part of the learning, not just for myself, but for you as well. So yeah, as I said, I hope this brings up something for you that you can learn about maybe yourself, or even how you think and feel, if you've been on a similar path as me or not. But with that, Walnut, I will talk to you next week. Have a happy Walnut Wednesday. And as I mentioned, please feel free to join the group for further discussion. If you resonated with this episode, I'd love for you to share and tag me on your social medias, because someone else might really resonate with this episode as well. So you are beautiful, you're sexy, you are delicious, you are a wonderful walnut on such a divine, exciting, yet turbulent journey. And we've got this because we're in it together. Bye.